What's your relationship with George Lopez? How did you have that relationship? What did you do the podcast? What was
George
that?
Lopez is a true crime fan.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't know George Lopez. I used to, I'd paid to see him good money at least 5, 6 times. I love his humor. But then he went political on me. And I don't play I don't play politics. I don't play religion. So I stopped. You lost my money. And then a buddy of mine called me up. He says, Gil, I just heard on the radio George Lopez said, anybody know Gil Carrillo? Give him a call. Here's a number. So I gave him a call. He called me back. We talked 30, 45 minutes on the phone. He wanted me to go golfing with him. He was in this true crime shit. Wanted me to go golfing with him. I said, I don't golf. He says, come on. I said, no, I don't know how to golf. And he said, oh, come on. He says, I'll get you. I said, I got some clubs. I said, but if I go out golfing with you, I'm going to turn into a comedian because you're going to laugh your ass off at me. I said, no. And he said, well, how about a beer? Would you go out and have a beer? I said, sure. He said, okay. And he gave me an address, meet him. I went down there. It's residential neighborhood, just like driving down here, and then right middle of the block, nondescript cinder block building with 3 doors, 3 different companies, no names, just 3 different addresses, 3 different doors. And I go and I open the door to one, the address, walk inside. Now it's a little holding place. You press the buzzer, they allow you to go in. You go in, it's a studio in there. And I walk in, I said, where do I go? Where do I sit? He said, well, just go right here. I said, where do I sit? And he said, just sit right there. And it's a table with microphones set up. And he had his producer in there, and he had a comedian, Bobby Lee, who's funny as all get go. And we just start bullshitting. Nobody says quiet on the set, rolling, nothing. We just start bullshitting. And it was fun. It was easy going. I'm laughing and carrying on. And we had a good thing going. And George just said, hey, can you come back next Monday? I said, I can't. I'm busy. What about the Monday after? I said, I think I'm booked. And he says, I'll be in touch with you. I said, all right. So next thing I know, he's calling me back. I started with episode 11. The last one we did together was episode 97.
Wow.
I went 2 years with him.
Wow.
It was great. It was so much fun. It was like going to a George Lopez show every weekend, every week. I loved going out there. We drink his beer. We laughed our ass off. And the only thing I hated was driving back because by this time he was in Burbank and I'd come home in traffic. I hated it.
Yeah.
Well, then George just got too busy doing television. He's still doing weekend stand-ups out of the state,
Yeah.
doing movies. I mean, he's a busy, busy man. And about 6 months before the show ended, he asked me, why didn't I take it over? Why didn't I just do the podcast on my own? I said, no, brother, I'm riding your coattails. You're the star here. I'm your Ed McMahon. You're Johnny Carson. And he says, okay, about 3 months before we ended, he says, the only reason I'm still doing this is because you make it fun. And he said, I love you, brother. I said, well, I love you. Thank you. And it was fun. But then the last show we did, there was a comedian, Steve Trevino, and I hope he has diarrhea the rest of his life. He went ahead and he got up there and he's talking about he's talking about how he's had it rough as a comedian. He's been in the business for 20 some years, and he still hasn't made the big time yet. But he's got this guy named Ralph. He kept mentioning Ralph, and I can't remember his last name. And he's a young, up-and-coming Mexican comedian out of Texas, I want to say. And George finally hit him. He says, why do you keep bringing him up? And he says, well, I think we owe it to each other to help each other out. He's a young Mexican kid, and we owe it to bring him up. That's why I keep throwing his name out. He says, hey. He says, I'm here promoting you, and you're promoting somebody else? Fuck that guy. We got to do this all on our own. You just don't step up here and do this like, and he went off. Next day, social media, Trevino put it out, and I guess it was Trevino, somebody put it out, and they badmouthed the dog snot out of George. And when George wouldn't respond to their actions, then they went after his wife, after his daughter, and it was all these commandos behind a computer that were doing all this stuff. And George just said, it's over. Not doing it. And I was the only one over there that had George's personal information. And I knew George, been to his house, knew his personal secretary. And I said, hey, George ain't answering my calls. I said, I want to go to spring training with the Dodgers. I said, but I don't know if I can go because, are we going to record again? And she says, well, I can't tell you what he's going to do, but if I were you, I'd go ahead and don't miss the Dodger trip. And she says, and Gil, I said, I just want to be a pain in the ass. She says, you're not a pain in the ass. George loves you. He doesn't consider you a friend. He considers you family. He wants to talk to you personally. Well, I'm still waiting for that personal phone call. And I don't bug him. I don't do anything.
Yeah.
He's a different man, and God bless him. He's got this new show going. It's the 3rd season or 4th season on his new show, and wish him nothing but the best.